I want you to imagine that it's a typical morning in your house, and you've got a school-aged child. How many of you do have school-aged children? Okay, so you're going to know this. Okay, this won't be hard for you to imagine. Okay, a lot of this stuff I pulled from my own experience. Okay, so it's a typical school day morning in your home, and your child is getting ready for school, and you're getting ready for work, and the clock is ticking, and it's starting to get late. Now, at this moment, what do you want your child to do right now? Just yell it out. Brush your teeth. Move faster. Put your shoes on. What else do you want him to do? Eat breakfast. And get out the door. So you want the child to accomplish a series of tasks and do it within a certain period of time, and then out, right? So now, imagine that when you check on your child, you see that they're not getting ready, they're drawing a picture. Ever happened something like this, where the teeth aren't getting brushed, the breakfast isn't getting eaten, the backpack's not getting packed, and nothing's happening, right? So you tell the child to hurry, but 5 minutes later you check again, child's still drawing. Are you there with me? So time is now really short. And if you don't leave in 5 minutes, your child's going to be late for school, and you're going to be late for work. I want you to go there with me into that moment, okay? Are you there? Now, tell me, what's happening to your body? Tense. Stress. Teeth clenching. Yeah, that's mine. The jaw. Oh man, the jaw is the telltale sign always. Yeah. Turn into the, yes. Anything else? What else is happening to your body? I'm sorry? High blood pressure. Your blood pressure goes up. Heart starts to pound. What happens to the palms of your hands? Get sweaty. I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it. What happens to your voice? Volume increases. It's like you have this dimmer switch, right? And your voice rises. And what are you feeling emotionally? How would you describe the emotions? That anxiety. Frustration. What else? Stress. Panic. It can reach the point where you feel actually panicky, right? You start to feel desperation. And you feel powerless because you can't make this child do it, right? You feel completely like overwhelmed and overpowered by this little one. So, I'm not going to ask you to write on paper because I don't think you have any, which is fine. But I want you to just call out what you think parents in this situation are likely to say and do. Take away the crayon. Okay, so it might. Whoa. What else might parent do when they're feeling that? Get directive, so maybe give commands. Get ready now. Controlling. I don't want to scare any babies because I can do a fairly good reenactment of an angry parent, so I'll try to tone it down. What else might a parent do? Yeah. Ultimatums. So maybe a threat. A bribe. Countdown. Countdown to destruction. I never know quite what you're counting to, but it seems to imply something bad is going to be happening. You might distract. Would you ever say, how many times do I have to tell you? Okay, so you might demean them because you're implying they're not too swift. Go and start the car. So if you don't come now, I'm leaving without you. Like what might you do? Like that? Yeah. Bye. You tend to do something really controlling, right? To try to regain that sense of power and control. And you go into this zone where you're feeling desperate and out of control, so you try to impose control through firm commands and through threatening to take things away, or, if you don't get dressed right now, then you're not watching Franklin later, or, I'm going to take away this or whatever, right? And you threaten and you get punitive. Okay, now I want you to imagine again. Sorry. Can you still hear out there? Okay, well, no, first I'm just going to explain to you what's going on in you at this moment, okay? I'll leave that on. Those things that you do and the way that you feel and the way your body goes and your face goes and everything gets clenched and you turn into this person that you never thought was in there until you had kids. It's like, holy crow, who is that person? And then when you do all those things and then you finally get out the door, how do you feel half an hour later? You feel awful. You feel guilty. You feel, oh, I wish I could do that again. And you just think about that all day. You're not productive at work because you feel so badly about what happened, and you're wondering how your child is doing, and they're carrying it with them too, and you know that, and it's all just unpleasant, right? Why does this happen when you love this child so much? Because it's the way we are constructed, our brains. This is called the stress response, and it's actually very adaptive in certain situations. But with children, it's less adaptive. It usually ends in shouting, threatening, hitting, name-calling, criticizing, nagging. Come on, if you don't get out the door now, come on, how many times do I have to tell you? Get it together now, right? And the whole thing just goes downhill. What is going on is in your brain. And if you understand this, it can really help you to get a grip on it. This is really kind of step one in understanding the whole disciplinary kind of interaction. We have two sort of major parts of our brains. One part is that wrinkly part on the outside. There we go. That's called the cortex of the brain. That's where all of our higher functions are, and particularly in the front. This person is standing like this. Okay, so that's the front. This part behind your forehead is your frontal lobe. It's the most highly developed part of your brain. It develops last in your development, and it's where all your thinking and reasoning and predicting is, and how you figure out problems and think, well, if I do this, this might happen, and if I do that, that might happen. It's very rational and thoughtful, and it's where your inhibition is. So if you say, man, I'd really like to, but I won't because I know I shouldn't do that. That's your frontal lobe. Our emotional centers are deep inside our brains. You'd have to slice your brain in order to see your emotional center. It's all tucked away in there. And your emotional centers respond like animals. It really is from way back in our evolutionary past. If we were living in an environment where there were snakes and tigers and lions or bears, like if you were out here and you encounter a bear, you want that emotional center to work really well for you because it responds instantly. It doesn't think, it just responds. And it responds with fear or aggression, usually. Those are the two main emotions that those inner structures operate. Have you heard of the fight or flight response? That's where it is. And what happens when you feel under threat, like if you encounter a bear and you feel under threat, you have that same response that you just described. You get sweaty, your blood pressure goes up, all of your bodily organs adjust like this to get ready to either fight or flee. It's very adaptive. It's a really good thing. But when that threat is coming from a little child, and you go into that mode of fight or flight, you can't really flee. I suppose you could get in the car and go, but you probably aren't. So what's left? You fight. And then, half an hour later, once your thinking brain has re-engaged, then you think it through and you say, boy, I didn't handle that very well. I want you all to do something with me. This is an invention by Dr. Daniel Siegel. You can see him explaining this on YouTube. But he's invented a really nice way of thinking about what happens to your brain. Take your hand like this, put your thumb across your palm, and then close your fingers over it. This is like your brain. Okay, so here's your frontal lobe, here's the brain stem, here's the spinal cord going down your back. Your fingers are your cortex, your thinking brain. Deep inside is your emotional center, the limbic system, it's called. And what happens when you feel that stress response is you literally flip your lid. And your thinking brain disengages and you respond from here, this primitive, almost animalistic part of your brain. If you do this day after day after day after day, it sort of starts to become a way of life. And it starts to erode your relationship, right? And you feel awful all the time. So what we want to do is get this thinking brain back connected and keep it connected. And part of our problem is that a lot of us didn't learn as children how to do that because our parents are flipping. And so we didn't see how you can do that. We didn't learn it. So now we want to try to learn that so that then we can teach our children. So what happens is, as I just explained, when stress is low, the thinking brain responds. And the thinking brain is thoughtful and rational and that person that you usually are at work. But when stress is high, you can't get out the door, you've got a project, you've got a presentation, you've got to teach a class, you've got to unlock the business or whatever, and you've got to be there on time, stress goes whoosh. That's when your emotional brain responds. Now, what's happening to the child when all of this happens? Well, the stress might be coming from you originally. You might be the one who's stressed. Or the child might be upset about something, but somehow a stressful interaction can happen very quickly, right? Or the child turns on a dime, right? And what happens when you're under stress and you have that stress response is it just exacerbates, usually. It makes the child's upset worse because now they feel under stress and they're flipping. And they've got a lot less ability to reconnect than you do. So you can imagine what it's like for them. So they go out of control. And so what we do, because we're the adults and we're bigger and we're supposed to be in charge, is we respond with control. We try to get things back under our control. We try to fight that bear. We try to alleviate that threat and anxiety and panic But when we do that through controlling like this, we usually escalate the situation. It doesn't help the child do what we want them to do, and it also doesn't help them learn much.